A woman stands quietly in the rain outside a luxury hotel. Her clothes are wet, her hands are shaking. Suddenly, a man steps forward and pours dirty water on her head. People laugh, some record on their phones. No one knows this woman is minutes away from signing a deal worth $10 billion. This is silent family tears. Stories of pain, patience, and powerful truth. Subscribe now and stay till the end. And if this story touches your heart, comment your thoughts below. The woman does not cry. She slowly looks up and quietly says, "You will regret this." The rain fell slowly that evening, not heavy, not gentle, just enough to soak clothes and chill the skin. People walked past the luxury hotel without looking at the woman standing near the entrance. Her head was down. Her hands were tight around a small handbag. She looked calm, but inside her heart was breaking. Her name was Emma. She had once dreamed of love, respect, and peace. Tonight, she stood beside the man who was supposed to protect her, but instead, he looked at her with anger and shame. Her husband, Richard, was already shouting. "You embarrass me everywhere," he said loudly. People stopped walking. Some turned to watch. "You are nothing," he continued. "You bring nothing to my life." Emma did not answer. She had learned that silence was safer. Every time she spoke, it only made him angrier. She stared at the ground, listening as the rain hit the stone floor. Richard was dressed well. A clean suit, polished shoes. He looked important. Emma, on the other hand, wore a simple coat. It was old, but clean. Her hair was tied back. No makeup, no jewelry. To Richard, that was a problem. "Look at you," he said, laughing cruelly. "Do you know where you are standing? This is a hotel for real people, not useless women like you." A few people nearby took out their phones. Whispers filled the air. Emma felt the heat in her face. She wanted to leave. She wanted to disappear, but her feet would not move. Richard looked around, enjoying the attention. "You think you are special?" he said. "You think you matter?" Then he saw a dirty bucket near the hotel entrance. It was used by workers to clean the floor. The water inside was dark and muddy. An ugly smile crossed his face. Before Emma could react, Richard grabbed the bucket. People gasped. In one fast movement, he poured the dirty water over her head. The cold hit her first, then the shame. Dirty water ran down her face, her hair, her coat. The rain mixed with it, making everything worse. Someone laughed. Someone else said, "That's crazy." Emma did not scream. She did not cry. She stood still. Her hands shook, but she kept them at her sides. Her eyes closed for a second, not because she was weak, but because she was holding herself together. Richard laughed loudly. "Now you look like what you are," he said. "Trash." That was the moment something inside Emma changed. Not anger, not fear, clarity. She slowly opened her eyes and looked at him. Her face was wet. Her lips were pressed together. Her eyes were calm, almost empty. "You didn't have to do that," she said quietly. Her voice was soft, but it carried weight. Richard froze for a second. He did not expect her to speak. Then he scoffed. "I can do whatever I want. You belong to me." Emma shook her head slowly. "No," she said. "I never did." That made him furious. "Go home," he snapped. "You are done embarrassing me for today." Emma picked up her bag from the ground. Her fingers were cold. Her coat was heavy with water. People stared as she turned away. No one helped her. No one spoke up. As she walked toward the hotel doors, a security guard watched her closely. His eyes moved from her face to a tablet in his hand. His expression changed, but he said nothing. Emma did not notice. She was too focused on breathing. Each step felt heavy, but she did not stop. Behind her, Richard shouted, "And don't think you can come back here." Emma paused for half a second. Just half. Then she spoke without turning around. "You will regret this," she said. Her voice was calm. No threat. No anger. Just truth. Richard laughed again. "You? Regret? Don't make me laugh." Emma walked inside the hotel. The warm air hit her skin. The noise of the city disappeared behind glass doors. Inside, everything was quiet, clean, and bright. People in suits walked past her respectfully, even though she was wet. One woman whispered, "Is that her?" A man nodded nervously. Emma kept walking, her heart steady now. Outside, Richard was still laughing, unaware of what was about to happen. He did not know that in the top floor of that hotel, powerful people were waiting. He did not know that documents were already prepared. He did not know that the woman he humiliated was minutes away from changing everything. And this time, She would not stay silent. Emma stood alone inside the quiet hallway of the hotel. The soft carpet felt warm under her wet shoes. Her coat was still heavy with dirty water, but she did not rush. She had learned long ago that rushing came from fear, and she was no longer afraid. People passed her without speaking. Some looked twice. Some whispered. No one laughed. Inside these walls, power was respected, even when it wore silence. Emma reached the elevator and pressed the button for the top floor. As the doors closed, her reflection stared back at her. Her hair was wet. Her face looked tired. But her eyes were steady, strong. These eyes had seen pain before. Years ago, Emma had been someone nobody noticed. She grew up in a small home where dreams were quiet and hope was fragile. Her parents worked hard, but money was always short. She learned early how to listen, how to wait, and how to survive without asking for help. When she married Richard, she believed love would change her life. At first, he was kind. He spoke big words. He promised comfort and respect. But promises can break. Over time, Richard changed. Or maybe he had always been the same, and Emma just did not see it. He mocked her ideas. He laughed at her questions. When she tried to help, he pushed her away. So she became silent. But silence did not mean weakness. Late at night, while Richard slept, Emma studied. She read books online. She watched business talks. She learned how money moved, how companies grew, how decisions were made. She failed many times. She lost small savings. She trusted the wrong people. She cried alone in the bathroom so no one would hear. Still, she kept going. Emma did not want to be rich. She wanted to be free. The elevator stopped. The doors opened to a wide floor with glass walls and soft lights. A woman in a dark suit waited near the entrance. "Welcome, Miss Carter," the woman said politely. Emma nodded. "Thank you." The woman noticed Emma's wet clothes, but did not comment. Instead, she handed her a clean towel and a simple jacket. "Please," she said gently. "The meeting is ready." Emma paused for a moment, then accepted the jacket. Her fingers trembled slightly, not from cold, but from memory. As she walked down the hallway, the past followed her like a shadow. Richard never knew about her meetings. He never knew about the calls. He never asked. When she started investing quietly, she used a different name, not to hide from the world, but to protect her peace. She built trust slowly. One project, one success, one risk at a time. People respected her because she listened. They trusted her because she spoke only when it mattered. Inside the meeting room, a long table waited. Screens covered the walls. Documents were stacked neatly. Several men and women stood as Emma entered. The room fell silent. One man smiled. "You made it," he said. "We were concerned." Emma placed her bag on the chair. "I am here," she replied calmly. No one asked why she was wet. No one asked where she came from. They knew her value. Outside, rain continued to fall. Inside, history was waiting. While Emma prepared for the meeting, Richard stood outside the hotel, still full of pride. He told himself he had done nothing wrong. In his mind, Emma deserved humiliation. He believed control was strength. He did not notice the security guard watching him closely. The guard spoke quietly into his radio. "Yes," he said. "It's her. She's inside." Richard checked his phone, annoyed. He had plans, drinks, friends. He felt satisfied, believing he had put Emma back in her place. But places change. Back in the meeting room, Emma took her seat. A large screen lit up with charts and numbers. Her work, her ideas, her vision. She listened as others spoke. She corrected mistakes gently. She answered hard questions without raising her voice. Then someone asked, "Are you ready to finalize today?" Emma looked at the screen. $10 billion. Years of work. Pain. Silence. She thought of the bucket of dirty water. The laughter. The phones recording her shame. She took a slow breath. "Yes," she said. "I am ready." At that exact moment, the door opened suddenly. Security stepped in. "Excuse me," one guard said. "There is a disturbance outside." Emma already knew. Her heart did not race. Her hands did not shake. This was not the end. This was the moment silence spoke back. And the man who poured dirty water on her was about to learn the truth he never cared to hear. The conference room was silent. Not the empty kind of silence, but the heavy kind, the kind that presses against the chest. The large glass windows showed the city below, wet streets glowing under white lights. Inside, Power sat quietly around a long table. Emma sat at the center. She looked calm, but her heart was steady for a reason. Every step that brought her here had been paid for with patience. Every number on the screen came from years of work no one ever saw. The final document rested in front of her. $10 billion. Not just money. Control. Freedom. Proof. An older man across the table cleared his throat. Once this is signed, he said, this partnership becomes official. There is no turning back. Emma nodded slowly. I understand. She had understood long before today. As the screen behind her displayed company logos and growth charts, memories passed through her mind. Late nights alone. Quiet mornings. Moments when she wanted to quit, but did not. She thought of the rain outside. The bucket. The laughter. Not pain. Fuel. Before we proceed, a woman beside her said carefully, security has requested a brief pause. There is a situation at the entrance. Emma lifted her eyes. Her expression did not change. Is anyone here in danger? She asked. No, the woman replied. But a man is demanding entry. He claims to be related to you. The room shifted. Emma folded her hands together. Then he can wait. No anger. No fear. Just control. Outside the conference room, Richard's voice echoed down the hallway. His face was red. His pride was louder than his reason. I want to speak to my wife, he shouted. She belongs to me. Security stood firm. Sir, one guard said calmly, you are causing a disturbance. Richard laughed bitterly. You think she matters in there? She is nobody. The guard glanced at his screen again. Inside, Emma stood. I will sign now, she said. The room watched as she reached for the pen. Cameras were ready. Lawyers leaned forward. Investors held their breath. She signed her name slowly. One stroke. Then another. The final letter landed on the page. It's done, someone whispered. Applause filled the room, controlled but real. Hands shook. Smiles appeared. The deal was complete. $10 billion. Emma did not smile yet. At that exact moment, the doors opened. Security entered first. Behind them stood Richard. His mouth was open, still full of words, but they stopped when his eyes landed on the screen behind Emma. Her name, her title, her image. His legs froze. The room went silent again, this time sharp and cold. Richard looked around. Suits, cameras, screens, respect. He suddenly felt small. What is this? He whispered. Emma turned slowly. For the first time since the rain, she looked directly at him. This, she said calmly, is my work. Richard shook his head. No, that's not possible. The chairman stood. Sir, you are interrupting a private event. Richard pointed at Emma, his hand shaking. She's my wife. She has nothing. Emma stood up. She walked forward, each step measured, her voice clear. I had nothing, she corrected him. Because you never saw anything. The room watched closely. You insulted me, she continued. You poured dirty water on me because you believed silence meant weakness. Richard swallowed hard. I stayed quiet, Emma said, because I was building something bigger than your pride. The chairman looked at the guards. You may escort him out. No, Emma said softly. Everyone froze. Let him hear the truth, she added. She turned back to Richard. I did not hide this from you to hurt you, she said. I hid it because I wanted respect, not permission. Tears filled Richard's eyes. Not from regret, but from fear. You humiliated me, he said weakly. Emma nodded once. And today, you learned what humility feels like. Security stepped closer. Emma looked at the room. Thank you for your patience, she said politely. This interruption is finished. Richard was led away, his voice gone, his power erased. The doors closed. Emma returned to her seat. Applause followed, louder this time. But Emma did not celebrate. She looked at the signed document once more. This deal did not change who she was. It revealed who she had always been. And outside, the rain finally stopped. The hallway outside the conference room felt colder than before. Richard walked between two security guards, his steps slow and uneven. His mind was loud, but his mouth stayed shut. Just minutes ago, he believed he was in control. Now, every sound around him felt sharp and humiliating. People stared, not with curiosity, with judgment. He kept his head down, but the images would not leave his mind. Emma standing tall. Emma signing papers. Emma being respected by people who never even looked at him. For the first time, Richard felt invisible. Inside the conference room, Emma remained seated. The applause had faded. Conversations restarted quietly. Business moved forward, as it always did. But something inside her was shifting. Not relief. Not joy. Release. She listened as advisors discussed timelines and next steps. She nodded when needed. She answered clearly, but part of her was still standing in the rain, feeling dirty water run down her face. A woman beside her leaned closer. "Are you okay?" she asked gently. Emma met her eyes. "I am now." She meant it. For years, she had carried shame that was never hers. Every insult, every public moment, every time she was told she was nothing, that weight was gone. Outside the building, Richard was released near the sidewalk. The rain had stopped completely. The streetlights reflected off wet ground like mirrors, forcing him to see himself clearly. He pulled out his phone. No messages. No support. His pride cracked. He remembered the first days of their marriage. Emma smiling quietly. Emma listening. Emma believing in him. He remembered how he used to feel strong next to her. Then power changed him. Or maybe it revealed him. Richard sat on a bench, hands shaking. He replayed the moment he grabbed the bucket. The laughter. The phone's recording. At the time, it felt like control. Now, it felt like proof of his failure. Inside, Emma stood near the window. The city stretched out below her, calm and bright. She placed her hand on the glass. She did not feel angry. She felt awake. A memory returned to her. Years ago, her mother had said, "Some people will only respect you after they lose you." Emma finally understood. A knock came at the door. "Ms. Carter," a security officer said carefully. "The man outside, he is asking to speak with you." Privately, the room went still. Emma took a breath. She did not rush to answer. "Does he have authority here?" she asked. "No," the officer replied. "Then he can wait," Emma said. She turned back to the window. This time, silence was her choice. Minutes passed. Outside, Richard waited. Each second felt heavier. When a guard finally returned, Richard stood quickly. "She will see you," the guard said. For 5 minutes. They entered a small private room. No cameras. No table. Just 2 chairs. Emma stood when Richard entered. He looked smaller than she remembered. "I didn't know," he said quickly. "I swear. If I had known." Emma raised her hand. "Stop," she said calmly. The word carried more power than shouting ever could. "You did not hurt me because you didn't know," she continued. "You hurt me because you didn't care." Richard's eyes filled with tears. "I was angry. I felt useless." Emma nodded. "So you try to make me feel smaller than you." Silence filled the room. "I loved you," Richard whispered. Emma's voice softened, but it did not break. "I loved who I thought you were." She stepped closer, not to comfort him, to finish the truth. "You believed my silence meant I needed you," she said. "But it meant I was growing beyond you." Richard sank into the chair. "What happens now?" he asked quietly. Emma looked at him for a long moment. "Now," she said, "you live with the truth." She turned and walked toward the door. He reached out. "Emma, please." She stopped. "Do not ask me for mercy," she said. "Ask yourself why you needed to break someone to feel whole." Then she left. Back in the conference room, Emma returned to her seat. Business resumed. Deals continued. Respect remained. But this time, Emma sat lighter. The shocking realization was not Richard's alone. It was hers too. She had survived something that was meant to destroy her. And in the process, she discovered her greatest strength was never money. It was knowing when to walk away. The morning sun rose over the city like nothing had happened. Cars moved. People hurried. Life continued. But for Emma, everything had changed. She stood alone in a quiet apartment that no one knew belonged to her. The windows were open. Fresh air filled the room. No shouting. No fear. No heavy silence. Peace. The night before felt distant now, like a storm that had finally passed. Emma made a cup of tea and sat by the window. Her phone lay on the table, screen dark. She had not checked the news. She did not need to. She already knew the truth. Across the city, Richard woke up on a couch in his brother's small home. His head ached. His pride ached more. The world he believed he controlled was gone. Messages filled his phone. Not kind ones. Clips of the incident outside the hotel had spread fast. People recognized him. They recognized Emma too, but the comments were different. They called her strong. They called him cruel. Richard sat up slowly, his hands trembling. For the first time, he felt the full weight of his actions. Not just the bucket. Years of words. Years of control. Back in her apartment, Emma received a call. It was her legal advisor. "The paperwork is complete," the advisor said. "Everything is now fully under your name." Emma closed her eyes for a moment. Not in relief. In closure. "Thank you," she said. She ended the call and looked around the room. The furniture was simple, clean, honest, just like her life was becoming. This was the final twist no one saw coming. Emma had planned her exit long before the rain. Months ago, when she realized respect would never come, she quietly prepared. She protected her assets. She secured her future. She made sure no one could ever control her again. Not legally, not emotionally. Later that day, Emma returned to the hotel, not as a guest, but as an owner. Staff stood straighter when she passed. Not out of fear, but respect. She smiled politely. She did not need to prove anything. In a private office, she signed one final document. The divorce. No drama. No anger. Just truth on paper. Meanwhile, Richard stood outside a job office, holding papers he never thought he would need. His suit was gone. His confidence was gone. He watched people pass him the same way they once passed Emma. Invisible. That was his realization. Back at the hotel, Emma addressed her new partners briefly. "I am not here to rule," she said calmly. "I am here to build something fair." They nodded. They trusted her. That evening, Emma walked through the city alone. Not lonely. Free. She passed the same place where the dirty water had been poured on her. The bucket was gone. The stain was washed away by rain. But the memory remained. She did not hate it. It reminded her of who she refused to become. Emma stopped and looked up at the sky. She smiled. Not because she won. Because she survived without losing herself. The final twist was not the money. It was freedom. Emma never returned to the life that hurt her. She built a new one. Quietly. Strongly.